communicating in teams and mastering listening and non-verbal communication skill. All right, so we're going to do some covering about these topics today. Communicating in teams. So one aspect within the organizational context is that communicating within the teams. You always have to understand that when you work in an organization, it's always like a team environment, right? You are communicating within a team. So it's really important that you know what are those advantages and disadvantages of team communication. And non-verbal communication is also another form of communication, which is really important. So, overview of teams. What is the definition of team? So, team is when a group of people working together for a shared purpose or shared objective. That is what a team is. So, what is the benefit of team? So, the benefit of team or the advantages of team, first of all, information and knowledge. There's a Japanese proverb which says, none of us is as smart as all of us. So that means when we all combine together, obviously we get to gather more information and more knowledge, because more brains brings more knowledge. Diversity of views. When you have a team, you get people with multiple skill set and multiple knowledge. Similarly, in this class, you've got heaps of talent. All of you've got multiple different ideas. You come from different background. You come from different experiences. So it's always beneficial to have the diversity of views. Acceptance of solutions, because you also get to get lots of solutions. Imagine we start with the problem, discussing about a problem. Obviously, there's like 32 people in this class today, and 32 people can bring 32 different solutions. So you will have lots of different solutions for the problem. And performance level as well, because performance level will also increase in a team. But beyond all of these advantages, there are some disadvantages as well. And here goes another proverb. Too many cook would spoil the soup, or spoil the broth. There's a saying. So when you've got too many people cooking soup or broth, that means that will create a problem. So groupthink is something that is, groupthink may not always be advantageous, because a groupthink will bring different ideas, and that could even lead to more ambiguity. So that's a big problem of group thinking. And there could be some hidden agendas as well, because some people, they may not have the spirit of teamwork. They may have some other hidden agendas in the team, and they want to influence others. And there could be some free riders as well. Free riders means, and this comes in, especially in the assignments. When you'll see in a group assignment, you may have a group of 4, and you'll always find there's some free riders who just want to ride the vehicle free, and they'll just let the others do the work, and they will not show up that much. So you'll always find that they would just want to get away, because they think, someone else will do my part. I'll just slide through carefully. So that's one of the problem. And there could be some high cost as well. So that's another aspect of team, because many people, many opinion, and to sort out that, you will need more time and resources, which eventually will incur more cost. Characteristics of effective teams. So again, when you want to communicate, it's really important that you understand what are the characteristics of an effective team, because at an organizational setting, you want to form some teams that are effective. So effective teams, the first one is you need to have a clear purpose. When you want to form a team, it's really important that you want to have a clear purpose. Imagine for your assignment, you will form a team with a group of 4. At the beginning, you should set up a clear purpose. Like could be something like, we all want to achieve high distinction in this assessment, no matter what. Or it could be, we just want to get a pass. So whatever that is, you need to set that mindset at the very beginning. So having an effective team means you should have that purpose statement from the very beginning. So whenever you form a team, just set clear purpose. Creative thinking is another aspect of effective teams. Now, In another class, I was using the example of Google. Google employees, or Google as a workplace, has been rated the most, um, the highest rated and the most favored workplace in every country. So you may have seen, like, Google employees, or Google has a work culture which is amazing. Like, Google's headquarter is like, it's like a play zone. It's not like a work zone. There's like people there. They can take a nap during their sleep. They can play Xbox when they're at work. They can go to the gym. They can get free food. So I'll actually share a video later on. You can have a look into that video. We were talking about like a case study about Google. So the thing is, when people are in a team and which is always endorsing the creativity, it's likely that people's creative spirit will go higher. And that's why Google employees are known to be very, very creative. Focused efforts. So when you are in an effective team, always you're focused to achieve something. So that's quite natural because you always have a clear purpose and you are focused towards that. Open communication is also another aspect. When you want to form an effective team, it's really important that you have open communication among each other. There's no hidden agendas. There's no hiding of facts. It's always open. Consensus of decision making. See, you need to have the consensus of the decision making. You'll often find in groups that there's conflict within each groups. Even in the political parties, you'll find that, well, they're fighting with each other inside the group as well. And the biggest problem is that they don't have consensus. That means agreement, or in Bengali, just samjhota. You need to have that in between the group. And that's one of the characteristics of effective teams. Conflict resolution. And in every group, you'll always find there are some conflicts. There will be some problems. There will be some, people not accepting each other's perspective, not accepting each other's views. So it's natural that there will be conflict. But in effective team, they'll always nip it in the bud. They'll raise those issues and they'll try to solve those problems. So that's one of the biggest advantage of effective teams. Preparing for meetings. So again, these are lots of useful contents for you when you will get to organizations. So, an organizational setting, when you want to set up meetings, these are some common things. What happens? What is a meeting? In an organization, it's very nature of the organization. There will be lots of meetings, frequent discussion, group discussions. So when you have a meeting within the organization, you need to have some purpose, some agenda, participant, and location. So these are the four main aspects of meetings. So it's natural that in the business and human communication space, you need to have those meetings. Now, virtual meeting is the phenomena that is more prominent these days, even if it's virtual or physical meeting, but it's really important that you need to have some clear purpose. And in the meeting, you need to have some participants, make sure there's some agenda, and make sure there's a location, like where you want to meet. So these are the core things that you keep in mind. In the effective meetings, these are some common properties. See, we are actually going through lots of contents, and these are all related to communication, but it's really your job to catch up with these contents and then probably contextualize these more, because there will be quiz questions, there will be some analytic questions based on these. Effective meetings: focus, procedures, participation, closing, and follow-up. So when you want to make a meeting effective, these are the things that you need to keep in mind. First of all, start with a clear focus. And focus doesn't take place if you don't have a purpose. There should be some procedures. If you don't have a clear agenda, that means you cannot have sound policies and procedures in the meeting. Participation, you need to have people contributing in the discussion. Like imagine today we're having this conversation. It's more like a meeting we're having. Now, if I'm the one who's talking for the whole 1 hour, a lot of the time you will just probably miss out everything. So that's why it's really important that participation is really important when it comes to a meeting scenario, when you're meeting with multiple people. There should be some formal closing as well. So towards the end, we need to wrap up saying, okay, so what was the discussion about? What did we talk about today? What are the key takeaways of our today's class or today's meeting? So there will be some summary and some follow-up. All right, next meeting or next class, these are the things that we are going to do.
Good.
All right, so I had to drag you all back to the main room. How was the experience of the breakout room? Can someone just reflect on that?
Sir, I guess the time was too short.
Yes, sir, the time was too short.
At first, it seemed a bit long, but while we started working, it seemed too short.
Okay, all right. But did you enjoy the group interaction, like small group interaction?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it was quite good.
Yes, sir.
It was fun.
Yes, sir.
True.
Okay, all right. Look, we'll be giving plenty of time. This was just like probably a run through of what breakout room concept is, so that you all familiar with how we will proceed going through with the group work. So we'll use similar technique to do lots of brainstorming and discussion. So this was just like a practice warm up. So don't worry too much about that. But just quickly go through the groups. Maybe if you weren't able to cover all 5, that's not a problem. Whatever was the discussion, I would like to know. So maybe just going to room number 1, where we had Akib, Akib and Sakib and Nafiz, all looks like Bangladeshi cricket players. So can I have some reflection from the group number 1, please?
So shall I start?
Yes, please.
So these were our 5 difficulties that we think may arrive in a group communication. So number 1 is having cultural differences. So that creates a lot of perspective and communication barrier. Number 2, we think that the lack of technology adoption can be a crucial problem, especially since we're in pandemic and everything is online. Third, not preserving equal rights for all genders, for which females might not feel safe to contribute in a group discussion. Number 4, we think is not having a friendly environment to open up to make mistakes or give ideas. Number 5 would be having lack of attention and participation from the group members.
Very nice. I really like the deep thoughts and the reflection. That's really good. Especially like the technology adoption. That's a really key, because a lot of the time you'll find in the group, there will be people who do not have the equal amount of technological know-how. And given we are in this age when virtual communication is the key, it's really important that people are all familiar with that. So great reflection, folks. Thank you so much. Going to the next room, where we had Ridita, Sirajus Salehin, Zawad, and Zaki. Someone from that group, may I please request you to quickly reflect?
Rita, would you like to present?
Yeah, just anyone from the group.
Okay, sir, I'm presenting. Sorry. Here.
Okay, let me do it. You'll do it in the next time. Our first point was diverting from the focal point. Sometimes the presenter can really deep dive into a singular point or their personal perspective too much, and it may divert from the focal point of the meeting. Then the presenter may not be presenting facts from a credible source. It might have an issue of understanding among everyone in the meeting. Then nervousness while performing or presenting in front of a bigger group, and communication gap due to cultural barrier or language barrier or the perspective of time or the ethics can have impact on effective communication. Finally, lack of participation of each and every member of a meeting can have some impact while effective communication.
Great reflection, Rita. May I please ask you not to create a communication distortion, which is causing by turning your camera off. Can you please turn your camera on?
So my camera is on.
Camera is on. All right. So
Yes,
you
sir.
are not visible. So maybe some problem with your camera. Maybe turn it off again and turn it on back. See if that works.
I did it right now.
Yep, still not working. But anyway, we'll have to sort that out. Maybe try that one later. It's not working.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, so great points. Thanks, Rita. Thank you. These are
Thank
some
you,
good
sir.
points. Room number 3, Farhan, Meshak, Mushfiq, and Nazifa. Someone from room number 3, please.
So starting. So we pointed out some key points. The first one is approaching properly. Maximum time we see the communication fails because of the wrong approach. We need to adapt the good quality of approaching in a proper way.
Yeah.
The second point is no coordination. It's where we try to mention the lack of plan or coordination, where co-workers don't have a good coordination between them while working on a shared purpose. So it causes a failure communication. The third one is lack of mutual respect. I tried where sometimes we show we can't accept the rejection or we can't accept the negative feedback. So in that manner, we should respect all of the decisions of our coworkers. And the fourth one is outdated technology. So this is the era where all the coworkers are communicating with each other via technology. So outdated technology makes a failure with doing the communication. So these are all my points.
Yeah, very well pointed. Thanks, Meshak. Very good points. All right. Passing on to room number 4, where we have Mahmoud, Shihab, Tayyaba, and MAD Siddiq Sanjan. Someone from that group, please.
Okay, sir. So I'm presenting from my group, and today our topic is about the 5 key challenges of effective business communication. So our first point is previous bad experience, because people often can't get out from the bad consequences of their previous bad experience. That's why they don't want to believe us another time. And our second point is outdated technologies. And we all know in this situation, we obviously need some technologies, a good support from the technologies. So if we rely or stay relied on the outdated technologies, then we don't get to improve about our business communication. And the third point is reacting instead of responding. We often react when we communicate without responding, because sometimes we just can just respond and don't react. So it's a bad side. And our fourth point is assuming your message as understood, because in a meeting we often do the thing like okay, if I'm sharing some of my ideas, and it is an obvious that everyone will understood, but it is not a thing all the time. And our fifth topic is cultural barriers. And we all know that we in a meeting people can come from different cultures and places, so there are some barriers we can face in business communication. Thank you, sir.
Okay, very good points. So a lot of you have emphasized the cultural aspect. And with culture, you also have to keep in mind that within every main culture, there could be some subcultures as well. And that could also become a problem. Imagine like when you are talking about effective communication within a Bangladeshi organization, maybe you have, if it's not a multinational corporation, maybe it's like people from all of us, we are probably from the same background. We're all Bangladeshi, we come from the same culture. There's no problem in that. But within the main culture, there could be some subcultures, and that could also be a problem. All right. So the influence of the subculture could also be a problem. And the subcultures could be like, people coming from different geographic location, people with different views, or people with same age group, people with same gender. So these could also be subcultures. So the influence of subcultures could also be another factor. So you need to keep in mind that under every main culture, there are some subcultures in place as well, and that could also influence. All right, good points. Going to room number 5, where we had Fahmida, Tosif, Sumaya, and Tanzim.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Tanzim, go ahead,
I'll be
please.
presenting from that group.
Thank you.
So we couldn't come up with 5 points because of the time shortage, and also we had some internet issues.
That's all right.
So I'm presenting our points. The first one is synchronization. For example, like you are working in a group, and if you guys don't have synchronization, some of you might be faster than the other. So a synchronization is a challenge that we have to face while working in a group, I guess so. Second is presentation. Consider yourself as an organization and you're going to launch a new product. So you have to present it. You have to present it well in front of your clients. And if you don't do so, if they are not satisfied enough, then it might not get launched at all. Yeah. Then I guess the lack of motivation. We had it in our group discussion. Like none of us was motivated enough to present. Everyone was nervous, or some of us has internet issues. So it might happen inside a group communication or business communication.
Yeah.
Then the lack of knowledge. If you don't know what you're dealing with or whom you're dealing with, then it might be a great problem while you communicate with other organizations or your clients or your partners.
Yeah, very good points. I really like the points, the synchronization and lack of motivation. Yes, these are really very good points. So well done, team. Okay, going to room number 6, where we had Irene, Shafin, Shahana, and Sumit.
Yes, sir. So we could came up with 5 challenges, and let us share that with you guys. Sure. The challenges we first were discussed, that was like not thinking or delivering the idea to the audience perspective. Some like most of the time we see that if we don't think or don't deliver the idea in audience perspective, the audience might lose the interest from that. So that is one challenge of not having like lack of effective communication, business communication. Secondly, we had like not finding a common ground between the members or among the members. Like if we don't find, if you like, for me it was like, if I don't find a common ground to communicate with the other members of the meeting, then it is quite like difficult to have that effective communication.
So can I just ask, so by common ground you obviously mean common purpose, right?
Not like specifically not common purpose. Like sometimes we see that we have that common purpose to join a meeting, or like join what should I say, like in a business meeting, sometimes we have common purpose, but we don't have a common ground. Like when you like we are not what should I say that?
You can speak in Bangla as well, if that makes it easier.
আমরা সবসময় জিনিসটা ঠিকভাবে নিতে পারি না, যে একজন একটা বলতেছে, আমাদের ওই জিনিসটাতে এগ্রি করতে পারতেছি না, we don't find our place to agree with that same thing or like same
আচ্ছা, অর্থাৎ আমাদের সবার মধ্যে ওই একে অন্যের প্রতি যে শ্রদ্ধাবোধ সেটা থাকে না, বা
শ্রদ্ধাবোধটা, রাইট, অনেক সময় দেখা যায় পার্সোনাল কোনো কারণে আমরা ওই জিনিসটাতে এগ্রি করতেছি না।
আচ্ছা,
হচ্ছে না,
okay.
মানে এগ্রিমেন্টে
Okay.
আসতেছে না। All
Yep,
right.
good point.
And
Carry on.
third one is using we found that using unfamiliar or complex terms, sometimes it might get it might mm, raise a challenge
Do you
of
mean
effective
complex terms?
complex terms.
Okay, so that means we can tell that as jargons. Using jargons is something that is
Jargons,
really,
all right. Yes.
yeah, it's called jargon. So jargon means something that is very motivated by with cultural cues, or maybe imagine you are in a group environment where some of you are very technical savvy. So maybe you're tech savvy and you're using some jargons, like, you know, tech savvy jargons, or
Not
some
everyone
young
are aware of
generation.
that word, or like not everyone is aware of those terminologies.
Yeah,
So that makes a huge like lack
yeah,
of
yeah,
effective communication.
exactly.
So and fourth one is like sometimes we give more information about rather than about other things rather than focusing on the main points or like the main information. It ends up in like uh, important information being lost.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
that is one challenge. And another was like lack of proper technologies. Nowadays we face this thing a lot, like lack of proper technology. Using not using the proper technologies might get us into trouble. Like we, not everyone can join the meeting virtually, or if it's not in person, if it's especially virtual,
Yeah.
then that causes a big problem, and that's also a challenge for us.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Shafin. Good points.
Also,
Going to room
all
7
right.
quickly. So we had Abdullah, Anika, Arshi, and Porsche.
Sir, it's Parsha, and I'm gonna present from this group. So
Yeah. Could you
basically,
speak a bit louder? Yeah. Oh, sorry, Parsha.
yes, sir.
Is it Parsha?
So it's Parsha, Parsha.
Acha, Parsha. I'm sorry for my mispronouncing your name. Yes, please go ahead.
So everyone have actually mentioned all of them, but still, it's kind of like we all have the same mentality. So basically, all points are the same. So I'm gonna start first. Cultural barriers, as everyone said. Everyone is have come from like different cultures. So basically, when we communicate, we don't know them because in business, the first thing is impressing our business partner or our colleagues. So when we are in different cultures, so we can somehow disrespect them in very way, but we don't know actually which one is disrespectful for them. So cultural barriers, again, languages, uh, lack of ideas, or one can say modernization, because everyone is not thinking as the same era as we are living. Because in that perspective, we could have different knowledges from and different ideas which would not be suitable for others. So it's actually a broad discussion only in one key. So I'm gonna
Yep.
take it to another. It's like work ethics. Basically, we have different ethics. In businesses, someone goes after money, someone goes after helping other people. So basically, this could create like what should I say? Fightings or jhagra. So it could cause a lot of problems and challenges. Then again, we've got these lack of confidence that everyone is like, no, I shouldn't mention these, what she's gonna or he's gonna think about that. But they don't know that they could like give us help and also be helpful. And even like when I'm presenting, this is the thing, they lack confidence. Even I lack confidence in like when I was discussing. In the end, I had to come. Also, I didn't want it to come at first. So lack of confidence is like a very huge issue.
So again, this is also a leadership issue because we are afraid to take responsibilities. So it creates a lot of challenges. So these are the points that I have come with, but not all five. Uh,
That's all
maybe
right.
4 or
Good
3.
points. Really good points, Parsha. Thank you so much. And I especially like the one where you mentioned work ethic. That's a really important one. I guess that's a very broad topic, but essentially, if we summarize, work ethic is your level of your commitment to the work. And oftentimes, you'll find that challenging because in a team environment, not everyone will share the similar amount of work ethic, which eventually will become a challenge because not everyone wants to be the best performer or the top performer. Someone will just want to get away. And this especially will be evident when you will be doing the group work. Because as I was telling at the beginning, that in the group work, maybe in your group assessment, some of you may have an aspiration to get a high distinction. But some of the other members, they may just think, I'm just going to get a pass and that's enough for me. I don't care about like getting a high distinction. So that's going to cause a real problem because there's imbalance in terms of work ethic. So similarly, within the organizational context or the business context, you'll find people coming with different work ethic, and that really creates a problem. So that's why, again, it's really important to establish those norms from the very beginning and raise these conversations sooner rather than later regarding what is going to be our work ethic, and then try to make it as black and white. That means as clear as possible so that everyone knows. All right, good points. Room number 8, we had Akil, Mehdi, and Nafisa. This was the last room.
I'll be presenting from my group. Well, there can be actually many key points. So I've come with few actually. First one here is missing communication, which is basically means lack of communication between two employees, or you can say the members that are in the business. Or so what happens is like one employee just speaking, another is just listening, but not giving the response that is needed in that conversation. So basically what happens after that is it just snowballs and turn into a bigger problem because they didn't communicate with each other clearly. So it is important that they communicate with each other. And the next one is no downtime, which means no over communication. Like if you are in a meeting, what happens is like many will disagree with the point you came up with. So you need to sort it out before the meeting, because to make it efficient, you need to think about the time too, because a meeting can last for like 2 hours, 3 hours, but not more than that. But then again, if you take it like a whole day, it will be a problem. So you need to make sure to have not much downtime on that. And other one is maximizing meeting efficiency, which is you cannot just call up for a meeting, right? Like all the employees are working there. So what you do, you need to make a schedule for the meeting, like whenever you need. Actually, you need to make a schedule for that, because not all employees will be available for the meeting there, because some will be missing. And in the next meeting, you have to explain that again. So what you are doing here is you're consuming the time. And other one is technology issues. We are just talking about that we are using old technologies so that we are slower. Actually, you need to look at this pursuit where can the employee use the technology that you are implementing? So you need to make sure first that your employees are able to use the technology. And that's all for our.
All right. Some great points. I really am very much pleased to understand and obviously see the level of reflection that you had, the comprehension that all of you had. It just makes my life so easier in this course, because I think you'll all do great in this course. You all have very developed thought. So it's good to see that. Now, towards the end, we only have got probably 15 minutes or so left in the class. I'm just going to quickly now go through one very important aspect of effective communication, which is largely ignored all of the time. Can you all still see my screen that has the slide put up? Yeah, all right.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to talk about listening, which is the biggest problem that is in effective communication. The biggest problem of majority of the 90% of the communication is that no one listens to others, and that is the biggest problem. And in fact, you'll find that the biggest and the most successful leaders are the one who always listen others carefully. There's one story comes from a biographer who was writing about Nelson Mandela. Now, you all know about Nelson Mandela, right? Who is Nelson Mandela? He was a player, used to play tennis.
No, sir.
Well,
He was a
South African politician.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was a revolutionary leader of South Africa, South African Revolution. He led South African Revolution. He spent in jail for 27 years, came back, and he became the president of South Africa. So Nelson Mandela is undoubtedly was one of the greatest leader of all times. So one of the biographers was writing about Nelson Mandela, and he was saying that Nelson Mandela, in a room full of others, he was observing what Nelson Mandela was doing. So there's like 10 people in the room. They're all talking about something. And he said Nelson Mandela was the one who actually spoke at the end. At the end, he listened to everyone's perspective very carefully. And only then, after listening to everyone, he spoke. So what I'm trying to say, the point is, the biggest problem of effective communication that we don't listen to others carefully. We always try to say at the beginning, and that is the problem. And this is happening in everywhere. In our politics, you'll see all the parties fighting with each other because they don't listen to each other. So no one is getting their message across to the other because no one is listening. So listening is the most important thing in effective communication. So I might just reflect quickly on that. Can someone tell me the difference between hearing and listening? Hear, I hear you, or I listen you. What's the difference?
Listening means just understanding something, what you hear.
That is right. So when you hear something, it's only about your hearing. Your ears are open and the sounds are getting inside your ear. Yes, I'm hearing you, but I'm not listening you. The problem is it's just getting into my ear, but it's just getting into one ear and getting out of the other ear. It didn't touch my brain. So when you hear something and it just makes an impact inside your brain, that's when you listen. So that's the difference between hearing and listening. So you should not only hear, you need to listen. So in order to become a very good communicator, first you have to become a very good listener. Just instill this inside your mind. You need to become a very good listener if you really want to be a good communicator, because you can talk great, you can speak great, you have the flurry of language and everything. But if you don't know how to listen others properly and carefully, you will never be a good communicator. So let's just quickly reflect on listening now. The listening process. So the listening process is simple: receiving, interpreting, remembering. As you can see, this is like if you follow the direction of the arrow, if you see the arrow is circling from here, like, you are receiving, interpreting, remembering, and the message is evaluating and responding. So it's like a circle. It's like a circle. So it starts from you are receiving. Okay, you just heard something, and then you have interpreted that, and then you remembered that, and then evaluated that inside your mind. Okay, so what did I just hear? And then you are giving an individual a feedback. So that's really important. Barriers to listening. What's the barrier? Prejudgment. Okay, this is the biggest problem, folks. We are all very judgmental. We never, ever stop judging. We are always judgmental about everything. Bangladeshi players, they did so bad in this test. They don't know how to play. Saqib Al Hasan, oh my God, what a performance. Like, we're always constantly judging everyone. We don't even have the skill or have the knowledge. Bangladeshi politics, this politician is bad, or this this film star, Porimoni, or this one, or that one is bad. Now, we're all very judgmental. We judge every situation, everything from our perspective. And Bengali nation is probably, we are the biggest nation in terms of judgment. We always judge. We're a judgmental machine. This is not good. If you want to become an effective communicator, you should stop prejudging a situation, not knowing the context. You need to have enough context about knowing a situation. Maybe you are judging just based on a preconceived notion or limited knowledge. You shouldn't do that. Probably get a bit more context and then you should judge. All right. How about judge yourself? What you're doing, what you're saying, is that right? All right. So that's one of the biggest aspect of good or barriers to effective listening. Self-centeredness. Again, you are very self-centered. I mean, we are self-centered with our own opinion. Whatever we know, it's something that, again, self-centeredness stems from some ethnocentric behavior, and also the fact that we don't have a wider perspective from others. Rather, it's, again, very selective on our own knowledge. So self-centeredness is another problem. Selective listening. Maybe we're not listening all of it. We just saw some news. Maybe in the newspaper, we just saw some headline. Oh my God, this person did something really bad, or that individual did something very bad, or that leader or something, but you don't even know the full context. So selectively listening something, even in a team environment, you just listened only some of it. So from today, please try to remove these barriers. If you want to become a good communicator, become a good listener first. Effective listening. What is effective listening? These are the important things about effective listening. Find areas of interest. So if something that does not interest you, there's no point you become an effective listener in that. If you don't like sports that much, there's no point just, talking about sports that much or listening too much of sports news and stuff like that. Focus on content. Whatever the content is, just focus on that. Hold your fire. That means this is, again, don't judge too early. Just hold it till you judge it. That's really important. Listen for ideas. What are the key ideas coming out of that discussion? Just try to maybe highlight those key words. Take selective notes if that is possible. Effective listening, continuing. Work at listening. Listening, again, the difference between hearing and listening. Work on your listening skill. There's a saying that we human beings, our attention span, we're fighting with goldfish. Like goldfish has an attention span of like 5 seconds, and our attention span is even less than that. Because with the advent of technology and social media, we've got a habit of so fickle-minded that we're constantly scrolling through the screens, or when you are on Netflix, you're just constantly browsing. Oh my God, what I'm gonna see? There's 1 million TV shows, 2 million movies. What I'm gonna watch? So there's lots of problem on our selective, our opinion, or being able to be selective, or what do you want to do? So work on your skill on how to not be very fickle-minded and be stable, so that you can work on your listening skill. If it's whatever that, you need that focused attention. Block competing thoughts. Paraphrase the speaker. Stay open-minded. Stay ahead of the speaker. So these are some generic advice. I'm not going to dwell on those a lot, but I would definitely suggest you to please go through those. There's some